Welcome to part 3 of the abstract project. This is where we're going to cover materials. As you can see in here in the render, there's one material that's kind of blasé, which is the default Lambert, and some other ones that are kind of shiny, reflective, and kind of cool materials. These are different shaders I'm going to kind of show how to do. I've basically duplicated that same object 3 times. The first thing I want to point out is right now they all have smoothing applied to it, which gives it a better quality. I'm going to kind of zoom in here to kind of show you. If I select this and hit the 3 key, it kind of smooths it out a little bit. So notice the difference there. If I hit the 3 on this one and click away, you can see how it's a smoother option. If you don't do smoothing with a 3 key, you're going to get harsher renders. So if I go back to the front here, you can see an example here, one that has a faceted render and one that's a little bit smoother here. You can see. So just be wary of that in terms of the rendering, and so you can always hit number 3 on the keypad to kind of smooth it out. That's the first step. So if your geometry is already subdivided a lot, though, I don't recommend smoothing. It'll probably most likely crash your computer. Definitely save a lot as you're working. I haven't saved recently, so I'm going to go ahead and save. And let's talk about materials. So there's a couple of different materials that are really cool for these renders, the shiny ones. And you can open up the Hypershade and by clicking the little sphere icon, and here are your materials. And I already have some that are already made up, a few of them. But like the gold would be kind of a cool one. There's all kinds of cool presets you can kind of play around with. I'm actually going to not work with this, though. I'm going to close this out. I'm going to show you just by using the mouse how to do this with the attribute editor. So I want you to right click on your object, go down to assign new material, because we're going to create a new one from scratch. And then in here, pulling this new material tab up, click on Arnold Shader. So click on the Arnold Shader, and it's the AI standard surface shader. That's the one we want to add. That standard surface shader is really great, but we're going to play around with the presets. So we're going to click on the presets here, and the ones that are pretty cool to try out is the clear water, the deep water. Those renders you could see before. If I click on it, this one, and let me go back to the front here. This one's sort of deep water, this one's lighter water, and this one is a diamond material preset. So if you just click on preset, there's a diamond one, which is really cool here. And all you gotta do is click replace, and voila, you have it. Now again, with these materials, you can see how it looks like it disappeared. It's still there. That's why this wireframe on shaded is a great option, because if you click off of it, it's still there. Again, in the renderable area here, it's just really weird. It ghosts out some of the materials in terms of display mode. So again, click on that wireframe on shaded, or go to shading and then choose wireframe on shaded. Now, I like most of the default settings for these materials. You can play around with them a lot, though. So again, this just has the standard Lambert material, and again, we're in the attribute editor, which is the third icon here on this little shelf here to see your materials. So on this one, I'll right-click, assign new material, and then again, click on Arnold Shader, AR standard surface, and this one, let's click on preset, and there's just all kinds of fun ones to kind of play around with. There's an orange juice material that would be kind of fun to play around with. Plastics, really interesting. Chrome is a really cool one. Let's go ahead and replace this one with chrome. So that would be kind of a cool one to play around with. And if you did want to replace that same material, you can select it, and then go ahead and open up the Hypershade here. So if I wanted this one to also be chrome, I would select that material, which was the last standard surface here, and basically select it, and then just right click over it and assign material to selection. That's one way to get it across from there. So I believe it was the last one was, no, it was this one, because it goes in incremental numbers. So that's 9, 8, 7. I didn't name these, so if you select each one, the last one was copper, I could highlight this and type in, copper material or copper. And now I know it's that material. So I'll select this and then just right click on it, assign material selection. If I wanted a bunch of copper materials, I could hit G, 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 and it would basically create all the materials. After that, you can render out your image. We'll talk about that in the next tutorial. But just to kind of give you a quick little overview here, I'll go ahead and let me save out this current render. I'm going to go ahead and click on a render here just to show you what these materials would look like. And I'll pause because it will take a little bit of time to render here. All right, so you can see here it took almost 2 minutes, 1 minute and 51 seconds to render. These shiny reflective kind of materials are definitely going to take more time to render. So just be aware of that. This isn't even the full resolution. This is 1280 by 720. We want 2048 by 1024. You can definitely render at the lower sizes for testing purposes. But I just wanted to share how to create your materials and set them up. Basically, that's how you do it. In the next tutorial, we'll cover the lighting setup and the actual render settings. Okay? So until then, see you soon. Cheers.